What is the goal of maturity in making disciples? In this video, I want to share with you a short story. I think I might have actually shared it on this channel before, but a short story that will illustrate this idea and give you a target to aim for and a reason why we use simple tools. That's coming up. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Multiplying Disciples channel. My name is Mark. It's great to be with you. If you're new with us on the channel, we love to share simple tools in this channel and strategies, principles, and provoke your understanding towards that end so that you can see the multiplication of disciples, of leaders, of churches until there is no place left, all for the glory of Jesus. If that grabs your attention and you want more of that, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video to help with the YouTube algorithm. So in this video, I want to share this story with you. And the reason why is that I was in a conversation with a guy that I mentor recently, and this came up, and it comes up quite often. What is the role of simple tools? Why do we use these tools? And why do we not just disciple in a way that might feel more relational or something like that? And I shared this story to illustrate this idea. And you might be asking that question, why are we using or promoting this idea of tools? And sometimes it can feel like if we focus overly much on tools, it can feel overly pragmatic. And I would agree that our goal at the end of the day is not that we would shoot for pragmatism and everything just being very action focused and being very useful over any other value. That's not what we're going for. So I'm going to share this story with you. This has been years ago now, but I was working with a friend of mine in one of the high schools here locally, and we were doing what's called Youth for Christ. Love that organization, love what they do. Have some friends here locally doing that in Oklahoma City, but we were sharing in a school, and it came around Christmas time, and we began to prepare for this Christmas party this week, and there were 3 lunches each time we would go to the school that were consecutive in a row that we would share stories with and preach the gospel, and then have some sort of snack or pizza that we would share. So during this first lunch, and I'm telling you, this is right at the end of the semester, so we were kind of moving through the content a little bit faster than we usually did. We wanted to get to just some fun time to celebrate. We shared the story, the Christmas story. We did it from the heart. And after it had been shared, there was a time for asking questions. And man, hands were shooting up all over the room, and kids were asking very basic questions about the Christmas story and about Mary being a virgin and having Jesus, and about Jesus being divine, and just really basic questions that one should know if one knew the Christmas story. And we slowed down the second lunch and the third lunch, and same thing, questions all over the room about the basics of the Christmas story. Now, here's the deal. Here's why I share this story, because the kids that were in this lunch in a more underserved population in our city had a very poor experience at home with relationships, a lot of broken families and disconnected from dad, and definitely didn't know the Bible or didn't know what the basic Christian story and narrative was. And so you could come in and you could be saying, hey, in discipleship, why are we not focusing on helping people simply listen to God's voice and respond to him? Why are we not making this more relational? I would agree that that is a very important outcome. The problem is when you begin to engage with peoples and places that do not know the story that they're in and do not know the character of a good God. If you only have an experience of the character of God as represented by broken relationships with your father, with your mom, with your friends, with your other relationships, then why would God be any different? And if you don't know the story that you're in, you don't know the biblical story, how do you understand the ways in which God might be talking to you now in the context of what the world's been telling you versus God's story in the Bible? So all that to say, simple tools come along, and these simple ways of making disciples come along to help create a framework for listening and responding to Jesus personally. Our outcome, our goal when we're making disciples should be that disciple in front of us can effectively hear God's voice and respond to him, which usually isn't just a single solo event. That happens in the context of community and relationships with people as well as with God at the same time. But that's a whole other video, another topic. But nonetheless, when we are making disciples, that should be the outcome, that they are hearing God and responding to him. But to get there, this is where there comes this need for simple tools. And those things can sometimes feel overly structured when we're working early on with disciples, and we're working with leaders that want to be more relational with their disciples. But we need to remember, we are setting that disciple up with the framework that they need to rightly hear God's voice, know the story that they're in, so that they can respond to that in radical obedience and be accountable to that obedience. So I hope that's helpful. And as you are processing through this with your own disciples, I would just cast vision to you for that. Do your disciples know the story that they're in? Do they know the character of God? This is the reason why we build a culture of discipleship using simple tools. So we also, at the other end of that, we don't want to go hard in that direction where we only give our disciples simple tools and only ever consider progress and success reproducing those tools. Because if we only do that, we end up with religiosity that has no relationship with Jesus. So it should be a catapult. It should be a trampoline, those simple tools and the accountability to it that should lead towards hearing God and responding to him out of his word. And so we should always be pointing that way as well.